This is happiness, to be everything at once. Be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Mood Prep. My name is Dave Nixon, and this is episode number 100 of Mood Prep. 100, I think, what's that? 5, 20? It's 20 weeks? 20 weeks. So thank you very much for tuning in, whether this is your first episode or your 100th episode. In fact, if this is your 100th episode, get in contact with me. I would love to send you something. I don't know what the fuck it is yet, but I would love to say thank you very much. You have no way of proving that. I understand. Maybe I have a quiz for you. I don't know. But either way, I really appreciate you all for tuning in every single week and sharing as well. So if I ever see it shared on social media, usually I see it a lot on, unless you have me on Facebook, I'll see it a lot on Instagram. I always share it. I always am extremely humbled and grateful for you doing so. So thank you very much. And I've been thinking, what should I do for episode 100? And then it struck me, I should probably just do what I've always fucking done with all the other 99 episodes and just do the same thing. There's no finish line here. So I wanted to share a story with you today about two wolves. And there's a couple of different versions of this story. One of the versions is, I'm going to say, Western version. And then the other story is more of a, the finish is more of an indigenous American from the Cherokees, I believe. I'm not apt with American history in that realm with the indigenous. Sorry, guys. But I'm going to give you a breakdown of the story, and then I'm going to pull it apart myself as well, and then I'm going to give you a alternate ending as well. So it's the battle of the two wolves inside of you. Now, I think there's power to this story, and I'm gonna actually steal it off a website. When I say steal, I'm just going to read it off a particular website by a guy called Dean Young. I don't know if I pronounced his name correctly, but I wanted to find the actual story and read it back. And so this is how the old Cherokee is teaching his grandson about life. "A fight is going on inside me," he said to the boy. "It is a terrible fight, and it is between two wolves. One is evil. He is anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego." He continued, "The other is good. He is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. The same fight is going on inside you and inside every other person too." The grandson thought for a minute and then asked his grandfather, "Which wolf will win?" The old Cherokee simply replied, "The one you feed." Now this is, I think it's really good in the sense of going, as far as our story is concerned, you have a choice around which one you feed. So I'm going to give a bit of a breakdown, then I'm going to give my own breakdown as well. But the powerful thing here is that we have to actually acknowledge both sides, both wolves, right? And if we deny one wolf within us, if we just don't feed it at all, it becomes an issue, right? And the reason it becomes an issue is because we have to actually acknowledge the evil, the anger, the envy, the sorrow, the regret, the greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, everything that's associated with what we deem as bad or negative, which is actually just the dark parts of us, which is still parts of us. And it's crucial that we actually sort of identify that those things aren't bad. In fact, ignoring them can become bad because then they're going to show up regardless. And so the most important thing first is to acknowledge that side, as much as we can acknowledge the good, if you want to call it that, right? And when we do that, we can integrate the both and see ourselves as whole rather than as the light and the shadow. When we do that, we now are in a space where we have the power to choose what we want to do with each situation. We have the complete power of not having this shadow sitting there and showing up when we least want it to, in any form of guilt, resentment, etc. That we can recognize that emotion, that feeling as it is, and inquire from where it comes from, and then choose to respond as we need to in reality as it unfolds in front of us. And so, what I find so interesting about this story is that it says at the very start, if we go from the very start, an old Cherokee is teaching his grandson about life. That fucking one line, right? we are getting wisdom from those before us, and a lot of us in today's society are not doing that. We're not spending time with a generation of people above us or 2 generations above us to get wisdom. And we need to be able to do both, in the sense of we need to be able to spend time with those that are wise, that walked this world before us, and still have a vision of where the world is going. We cannot be in this archaic age forever, this pre-modern time, yet the ability to integrate both is so crucial that we are able to have this understanding of where we've come from and where we're going. And so being able to pull wisdom from those before us is absolutely crucial. The other thing about that is the curiosity of the boy, right? So first it's the acknowledgement of the grandfather to be able to see all of him, right? And then it's the grandson. Which wolf will win? This is what's really interesting, is because this is why this is the Western view, not the traditional view that I'm going to show you in a second. But the reason being is because he goes, which wolf will win? He thinks there's a victory. He thinks that there's some sort of defeat in this process of the self. He thinks that it's me versus them, or me versus it, or something, right? And the answer from the Cherokee simply reply was the one you feed. And there's a certain level of this. If you're there and you're on social media and you're I've done this before. Recently, I'd probably do this all the time, and I have training that I plan myself to do, and I'm like, when I make a decision there, I'm feeding something, right? For sure. And I think it's powerful to use it at that point. But to starve the dark side of us can become like a sentence, right? In putting yourself in your own prison. And so the curiosity is so crucial. But when we have curiosity around victory, it's like, well, maybe it's not meant to be defeated. Maybe there's no victory, like my last podcast, no victory, but you should seek peace. And what's interesting, and I haven't heard this side of the story before, but Dean goes into it because he shares it. He goes, in the Cherokee world, however, there's another version of the story, and it ends this way. And I actually read this after I wrote notes for the for the thing of there should be no victory and the curiosity, which is quite fascinating. And he goes, the old Cherokee simply replied, this is the ending, the alternate ending. If you feed them right, they both win. And the story goes on. You see, if I only choose to feed the white wolf, the black one, the dark one, will be hiding around every corner waiting for me to become distracted or weak and jump to get the attention he craves. He will always be angry and always fight the white wolf. But if I acknowledge him, he is happy and the white wolf is happy and we all win. For the black wolf has many qualities: tenacity, courage, fearlessness, strong-willed, and great strategic thinking that I have need of at times. These are the very things the white wolf lacks. But the white wolf has compassion, caring, strength, and the ability to recognize what is in the best interest of all. You see, son, the white wolf needs the black wolf at his side. To feed only one would starve the other, and they will become uncontrollable. To feed and care for both means they will serve you well and do nothing that is not a part of something greater, something good, something of life. Feed them both, and there will be no internal struggle for your attention. And when there is no battle inside, you can listen to the voices of deeper knowing that they will guide you in choosing what is right in every circumstance. Peace, my son, is a Cherokee mission in life. A man or a woman who has peace inside has everything. A man or a woman who's pulled apart by the war inside him or her has nothing. How you choose to interact with the opposite forces within you will determine your life. Starve one or the other, or guide them both. And this reminds me of a African proverb, which is, when there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do you no harm. I think that story has a lot of power to it. And I think that actual ending, the second ending, I significantly prefer, because it doesn't vilify half of you. You work perfect. You work exactly the way you've been wired. Whether that's been influence of someone else or the influence of your own thinking and choosing of which thoughts you deem to be true. No one's broken. No one needs fixing. Maybe rewiring to get a different result, but that's it. So feed them both. Feed them both, and nothing will crave your attention. Team, thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you've been listening in, you would have found out by now that I'm actually writing a book with Mr. Nick Shaw from Renaissance Periodization called The Human Movement. However, I do need some help with this. It would mean the world to me if you could jump on and help me reach 250 pre-sales. I have, I think, about 100 left to reach. So I've got until the 17th of July, 2018, unless you listen to this in 2019. And the link should be in the actual... what's it called? This is a podcast, so in the comments of the podcast. Otherwise, if you're on my social medias, then you see it there as well, and it has all the details of what the book's about. It's called The Human Movement. I'm very excited about writing it. Otherwise, team, I'm going to leave this here. As always, you have about 9 or 10 days to jump on Mood Prep Online for free, and then after July, it will start actually incurring a small $7 fee for the month, and that's where you get to ask all my guests special questions. So you'll be able to ask them questions that you're interesting. I hope you're interesting. I bet you're interesting. That you're intrigued about, as well as give you book updates and everything that I'm reading and listening to as well. So from there, that group is only growing with more interaction, and I'm really excited about where that's going as well. Otherwise, that's it. Enough blabbering. Feed both wolves. Team, if you found this beneficial, I'd love it if you would share it with someone else who you think would also find it beneficial and who needs to hear it. Otherwise, as always, until tomorrow, peace and pizza, kick today in the dick, and slay the dragon. I'll see you soon.
To be everything at once, be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.